The world faces unprecedented environmental crisis. But what if a 1400-year-old religious framework already contains the solutions we desperately need? Today, we explore how Islamic teachings offer the most comprehensive environmental stewardship system ever developed. Islam calls humans khalifa, trustees of earth, not owners. We're gardeners caring for a sacred trust, not conquerors exploiting resources. This fundamental shift from dominance to stewardship changes everything about how we relate to nature. Prophet Muhammad commanded, "Plant the seed in your hand even if the day of judgment is tomorrow." Environmental action maintains meaning even in seemingly hopeless circumstances. This perspective encourages sustained effort regardless of crisis scale. Fruit-bearing trees and plants become sadaqah jariyah, continuing charity that accrues spiritual reward even after the planter dies. Every environmental restoration becomes an investment in both ecological and spiritual returns that compound over generations. But it's not just about fruit. Even the shadow of a tree serves others through its shade, providing cooling and comfort. Birds, insects, and countless creatures benefit for decades from single planting decisions made today. Islamic environmental ethics recognize the interconnected web of creation where every element serves multiple purposes and benefits. One tree supports food webs, provides habitat, cleans air, prevents erosion, and offers spiritual reflection space. The Prophet instructed water conservation during ablution even beside abundant rivers. Conservation as spiritual discipline, not just practical necessity. This daily practice of mindful consumption creates environmental consciousness through religious routine. Islam emphasizes maintaining the natural balance, mizan, that Allah established in creation. The Quran warns against transgressing this balance, suggesting that environmental degradation represents both ecological and spiritual disorder. Stewards will be questioned about how they managed what was entrusted to them. Environmental actions become matters of spiritual consequence. This accountability provides powerful motivation for environmental consciousness as an act of worship. 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide. If Islamic environmental principles were fully activated, this represents the largest environmental movement in human history. Imagine the impact of nearly 2 billion people treating tree planting as continuing charity and conservation as daily worship. The Mizan principle implies that taking from nature must be balanced with giving back, creating reciprocal rather than extractive relationships. This encourages practices that enhance rather than disrupt ecological harmony. Traditional Islamic architecture integrated gardens, fountains, and green spaces into religious buildings. Religious spaces that model environmental consciousness demonstrate to communities that caring for creation is central to faith. Contemporary environmental crises demand renewed attention to these teachings. Islam offers both spiritual motivation and practical guidance. When environmental action becomes religious obligation and spiritual reward, it motivates sustained engagement beyond temporary enthusiasm. Modern applications include community orchards as collective sadaqah jariyah, urban agriculture programs, and green infrastructure inspired by traditional Islamic design. Islamic financial institutions could develop environmental project financing, treating restoration as investment in spiritual and worldly returns. The prophetic mandate to plant even in crisis provides hope framework for environmental action when the scale of challenges seems overwhelming. Individual environmental choices matter because they create expanding circles of benefit, extending far beyond immediate intentions. Islamic environmental ethics transform ecological action from burden to spiritual opportunity. Every tree planted becomes continuing charity. Every conservation practice becomes daily worship, Every environmental choice becomes investment in both ecological and spiritual returns. We're not owners of this planet. We're gardeners of a sacred trust. The question is, how will we tend the garden? Islamic environmental stewardship, the 1400-year-old climate solution.